that's Rob. By the way, that last frame, that's Rob standing on that mountain stalking someone. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Usual Suspects. We're on episode what?
74.
74. Still not canceled. We might be sooner or later, but yeah. Guys, I am so pumped for today's stories and for today's guests. I'm going to go around and introduce everybody, just our regular unusuals. We have David Freiheit is in the Casa Viva Frey. We have Umberto here.
Hello.
We have Rob Gargiulo. And guys, this dude, I saw him on the internet. I saw him on X. I saw him on YouTube. And I'm like, bro, this guy, there's surface people, but then there's people that like really explain everything and don't leave anything unchecked or unspoken of. I showed it to Umberto about 2 months ago. I go, dude, I'm going to have this guy in the podcast. We don't like to do Zooms because you guys don't like them, so we don't do them. So I hit up this guy on X, and he's here with us today. Ian Carroll's in the house. Ian, what's up, brother?
Dude, stoked to be here.
Let's go, baby. Bye. And if you guys don't, Ian, we just talked about it briefly. What was your initial thing that made you go, hey, you know what? I'm going to start making videos exposing stuff and connecting these dots.
Subscribe on YouTube, boys. Butzinator.
I was following the GameStop stuff as an investor for years.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, and they're all digging through all the financial corruption. Yeah. And I kind of realized, like, we need more people making content that's going to educate people about all this financial corruption we're figuring out. Because it wasn't just about GameStop they were figuring out. They were figuring out, like, everyone is corrupt in here. And so I just decided, like, you know what? I've got the background for it, and I want to know more, so I want to learn, because that's really what the job is learning and then sharing. And so I just started digging into, like, who owns everything, like, what's going on, like, what on, because I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And so
GameStop kicked it off.
GameStop kicked it off. Dude.
What would you say, Ian, out of all the videos that you made, what's the one where you're like, oh, like, the biggest eye awakening, holy crap, this is, like, meaning you'd put money, you'd put your life on the line that this is, like, I mean, Rob, we've talked about, Epstein, which we all know, we're not stupid, we all know what the hell it's about. We know about that. We know about 9/11. We're not done. We know about all these attacks. What was that? What's the one where you're like, this is the juiciest one,
dude? It took me a second to think, but I know what it is.
Juiciest one. What's up, guys? Thank you guys for coming back.
Put money on being
this
true.
Is the third
and the one
stream.
that is like juicy, and I don't
know
know why no one's talking about it.
What is it?
Joe Biden is one of the most blackmailed presidents we've had in a long time by Israel, and there's like multiple angles from Hunter's blackmail, from Hunter's wife, from the other members of his family, from the money he's been paid, from the actions he's taken, from the cabinet that he has. There is like so many angles, from the obvious to the somewhat like conspiratorial, and it's just why. And I put a video together that kind of like wrapped all of those threads together and showed that this is the exact playbook that we've seen with Epstein, that we've seen with AIPAC, that we've seen with past presidents, and now we see all of the signs, and we see what he's doing, and it's like, are you trying to tell me that the duck that quacks and walks and talks like is not a duck?
The problem with Biden, though, is how do you pick a country? Like, I have no doubt many previous presidents have been blackmailed or pressured by Israel. But when you're talking about Biden, Ukraine, Russia, China, I mean, everyone on earth has something blackmailable on Biden if it's not directly to his kids.
And that's a great point. I've only heard of them. What have you found in your dives into his connection with Israel? Because I've never heard of Joe Biden being compromised by Israel. But at this point, it's not far-fetched to believe, considering all the other countries that have compromised him already.
Well, the first thing is just the money from AIPAC. He is the highest paid senator in all of U.S. history by a long shot. Hillary Clinton is third on that list, and Chuck Schumer is second on that list, but Biden is like millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars ahead.
Ian, that's not corruption. That's just good politics.
That's just good politics. That's just America's best interest.
Yeah.
But then, so it's important for the context to be laid that Israel has been at the forefront of video sexual blackmail since its inception, all the way back to like the Jewish mob that was blackmailing J. Edgar Hoover in the United States in the 40s and had the FBI on lockdown, all the way forwards to, there's several middle forwards to Jeffrey Epstein, like famous for it, and it's not a simple thing to do. So they run the sexual blackmail operations that are most prominent, and I'm sure other people engage in that.
And you're saying it's difficult, and I want to see what you have. Well, Rob, say what you have to say first.
Just to verify and fact check our friend Ian in real time, this is money that Open Secrets is reporting on. So this is the known campaign contributions. Joe Biden first in all senators from 1990 to 2024, and he hasn't been a senator in how many years? When did he get elected? 2008. So this is really 1990 to 2008. $4,223,143. The second closest. So good. The second closest most paid senator by Israel from New Jersey, Democratic Senator Bob Melendez, who has received $2,357,000.
Wait, the guy that had bars of gold and just got like he got
$2,511,005, and then third on the list. This is even better. She was barely a senator. Hillary Clinton from New York, $2,357,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that
Well done.
And there's a
Well
whole
done.
rabbit hole on Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein that we all know.
for sure.
But then there's a whole other rabbit hole that Monica Lewinsky, that was 100% part of that Jeffrey Epstein
I was
operation.
just about
Yeah,
Door,
and,
I
they,
never
and
think-
you can find the articles of Benjamin Netanyahu, like sort of like Israel, not Benjamin, but Israel sort of
Benjamin's
threatening to release
butthole?
more, saying they could release more of the
You guys ever
I was
seen
just gonna
the
say,
serious case of Benjamin's butthole?
I went sexual blackmail. I go Monica Lewinsky, and bro, and it's obviously it's an operation, so I know it's intricate and it's detailed.
Yep.
But how like the island thing is such a when you found out cameras in every single orifice. Like, can you imagine? And it's difficult, but it's not. Me and you are powerful people, billionaires, maybe politics, maybe, rappers, whatever, artists, whatever. You go to this house and you have a great time. You leave, and then you get the call like, hey, we need you to do so and such, and you go, I'm not doing none of that. And they go, check your email, and it gets sent from an encrypted thing, and it's you with that kid. And you're like, oh, I'll give you anything. But, oh, my God.
I mean, there's another layer before that, though, where it's just like you make friends, you give you take them to Vegas, you give them the all-inclusive experience, you're homies. And so, like, the first angle is just, we like this, and you like having a good time, and we all party, and like this is the lifestyle. And so the first angle is just go along with it. It's just like we want to do this, and it's not that bad. It's no big deal. But then that's the second angle.
If people could just keep their schmeckles in their pants, the trouble that they would avoid in life. Ian, before we even get started, I got one question for you. How often do you get mistaken for the IKEA guy?
For the IKEA guy, not as often as Freddie Mercury.
Oh, come on, no way.
That could be the best conspiracy theory. Is that the guy that's out there talking and exposing this stuff is actually Freddie Mercury.
And I want to get into the stories, but just really, really quick.
Basically
I mean,
working on the
look at the
last-
luxurious hair. First of all, my hair is getting there, but look at Ian's freaking hair. Look at Viva's hair. Look at Umberto's wet locks, and look at Rob's beard. Look at Rob's beard. Just
You should see, if you think this is nice, check out my back hair.
Oh! All right, guys, so listen, just really, really fast, I'm going to go through the stories. So I'm going to be talking about the UK. Apparently, they're releasing prisoners to make room for protesters and people that say mean things online.
Terrorists.
Yeah, terrorists. Ian's going to talk about the a couple of billionaires died on a boat randomly in Sicily. Nobody else's boats were affected by this thing. Rob G's going to talk about the Obamas speaking at the DNC. David, you're going to be talking about said demonic national convention. I think Lucifer is actually set to speak tonight himself. And then Umberto's going to be talking about monkeypox coming to Mpox. Yeah, because monkey it's racist. They're going to say it's racist. Whatever, bro. It's only affecting one group. All right, but listen, guys. And also, guys, so as you guys know, I've worn this before. My Angry Patriot shirt. Let me explain something to you guys. I can't tell you how many people I wear this, at Publix or supermarket across the street. People are just like, yeah, man. Guys, I'm a patriot. I love this country. If you guys are like me and you're pissed off and you're sick and tired of the crap, can you put the merch link right there for vtmerch.com. Guys, please rock this shirt. I want to see more people wearing this. Rob's wearing it. I want to go out because I know the PPD podcast has it in Valuetainment. I want to see somebody out wearing this in the street and pointing at me. And guess what? We don't have to say anything. We just know who the hell we are, and that's what it is. All right, guys, I'm going to get right into it. The UK is releasing thousands of prisoners, thousands, not 5, 10, to make room for protesters who are getting arrested and for people speaking out against the migrants online. And the government. Isn't that weird? It's called Operation Early Dawn, which is an emergency measure, has been reactivated to manage overcrowded prisons, particularly in regions like Northeast Yorkshire and parts of Northwest England. It was implemented in response to an influx of prisoners, because, lately they've been, speaking up because, guys, their children are getting stabbed to death at dance parties for Taylor Swift. People are just, the amount of stuff, and thank God Freg's that I could see, bro, just a girl in Europe was trying to go into a door, and this huge African migrant is grabbing her purse, not letting her get into her apartment, and people are just walking around and not doing anything. Nothing. Okay, it's insane. So there are concerns about the number of people that are coming in are the online crime people. Because online now in Europe, as we showed in a previous episode, if you're just online criticizing the government, you are gonna go to jail. Is that insane?
Well, insane. Can we appreciate the stupidity of the name they gave it? Early dawn? I mean, that's sort of a, what's the word? Not an oxymoron, but a redundancy. Like, is there a late dawn? It's dawn. Okay, it happens in the morning. It's the early part of the
Operation
morning.
Dawn. And you said something about it too, right?
Yeah, well, Dawn just shows up in a lot of like cults and conspiracy theories. Like the Order of the New Dawn is one that comes
Of
to mind.
course.
It's just like it's a very weird name.
Yeah, it's just
like,
weird, and it's just weird that it's an operation. No, just call it what it is. We want to get rid of criminals, and mind you, these criminals, they're criminals who have served 40% of their sentence. And I mean, dude, why not? Okay, it's not like the UK has had a spike in crime, so it's like let them out. And these are guys. Just a couple of facts: violent crimes against women on Britain's trains, just on trains, because people ride the trains a lot, are up more than 50%. Violence against women and girl-related crimes rose almost 40%, 40% between 2018 and 2023, and more than 1 million, I'm gonna say that again, 1 million violent crimes against women and children are recorded in the year leading up to March 2023. And this is a weird one, Dave. Acid attacks.
Oh, damn it, that's what I was just
Acid attacks have risen 75%, with half of them targeting women. And guys, I'm gonna go on a limb, Ian. That's not because Andrew Tate is saying crazy stuff online. It's not about people criticizing shit. But Natalia has a chart. I want to show you guys to explain this. This is why it's happening. Maybe this will solve it. Can you guys put this chart up really fast? Oh, guys, look at this. Non-EU migration has risen. And look at the dates. See that? Dip and then boom. Non-citizens are there. People, it's not a secret why the freaking crime is going on. Ian, I know you see about this. You've spoken about this. What the hell is going on?
I mean, what better excuse to bring in a security state, to bring in more totalitarian rule than violent crime? That's always been, like, in order to establish empirical totalitarian rule, you need a reason to do it.
So do you think, because Ian, we're not stupid, especially, I know our viewers aren't, everybody in this room isn't, it's such a blatantly obvious, because they play that whole game of, it's like America when they're open border, like, we have to help everybody. The Statue of Liberty is a beacon.
They have to help, let's just assume the premise of their argument. They have to help migrants who are fleeing war-torn countries because of wars that they are initiating or exacerbating in foreign countries.
Yeah.
So it's obscene, but just like we laughed. It's not.
Well, it's not funny, but it's just like acid.
75% increase with 1,244 recorded offenses in 2023, up from 700. It's nearly doubling.
Can you
acid
define an acid attack for me? What the?
Yeah,
what is
like
an
they
acid
literally
attack?
getting sulfuric acid and stuff, and they're throwing it in people's faces, throwing it on their shirts, and it's not like provoked attacks. It's this ideology, this extremism. And guys, and again, mind you, I criticize this. I talk about everybody, and we just spoke about this. David's Jewish. I'm Assyrian. We're both Semites. How many? What's the Muslim population in the world? Do you know?
It's 1 point something billion.
It's 1.8 billion. Okay, let's just say, and this is way too conservative just for the numbers, 10% of that group is radicalized, extreme, FU, F Christians, F. How many is that out of 1.8?
It's 180 million.
180 million people hate us, hate Christians, hate you, hate Jews. I mean, forget it. I don't know who they. I mean, they're probably equal. Jews and Christians.
The problem is it's a like they say the number one victim of Islamic terrorism are Muslims, and it's true. The issue is that I'll not blame the West for exacerbating foreign conflict, but at least participating in it for regime change.
Yeah.
And you create the sentiment, and then you say, well, we have to now help these innocent victims of war and have unbridled, unmitigated, unverified, call it migration or invasion or whatever, and you know that you're getting a certain percentage of radicals who are angry at what they perceive the West is having done to their countries, and now they've infiltrated the West. What the hell do you think is going to happen on a collective basis, on an individual basis, whether or not it's Islam per se? In the UK, you are letting in people who, with no verification whatsoever and no insurance of not assimilation but integration. And it's obvious what happens. I mean, they don't
Look at what's happening.
We have knife violence and acid violence.
Yeah.
So I actually, Vinny, you remember I called this 4 months ago that this was going to happen.
I walked in and he said it was cooked. He literally said, he looked at me Ian, and he goes, Vinny, the UK is cooked. This is 8:30 in the morning, I walk in, and that's the first thing he said. And I was like, what do you mean? And then look where we are.
Look, I've been following. I mostly do, international stories here. I mostly do cover Europe and this and that. We had Dominic Tarsinski. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
He was on today.
Yeah, he was on today this morning, and we recorded the podcast. And he brought a really good point. He made himself famous for saying that not a single Muslim will get into power.
Illegally or just in general?
No, not a single one. Because the thing is that there's civilizations and there's societies that are not compatible. You remember when we had Windows and Mac. Some software was for Mac, some software was for Windows.
Yeah.
Some people work well together. Like here in the States, a couple of million Mexicans here, they won't go on an acid attack rant.
No, they might take your job.
They might take your job. Normal stabbing, normal thievery. It's fine.
Yeah.
But there are some people.
It's not acid.
It's not acid. It's funny. I was just looking at the Wikipedia page of acid attack because acid attacks, they come from a certain place. Okay, this is mostly Southeast Asia.
That's what I was asking. Is who comes up with this?
Countries
Well,
like
it's because in a country where you can't get guns, it's easy
You're
to
looking for anything.
get
I feel
acid
ya.
from other sources.
it's a thing about honor. Have you heard about honor killing? So if your girlfriend, she has her job wrong,
the job.
you just throw acid at her because she's ruining your family's honor.
Yeah.
And this is very common in Pakistan, very common in Bangladesh, very common in all those countries. So what's happening here, and mind you, I'm gonna get so much heat for this. Europeans, they've been expelling Muslims since history started.
Back
They've
in-
been expelling Muslims.
Yeah.
Like I have some Spanish heritage. We did the Reconquista when the Muslims, they came into Spain. They took half of Spain, and then they got kicked out. And that's been Europe for thousands of years. Those two civilizations, they're different. I'm not saying one is worse, one is better, but they just won't get along. They won't assimilate.
I mean, I agree, dude. Completely different. Like one Sharia law, one is not letting women do this. One is killing gays, and the other one is like throwing them off a building. It's like it's not working.
And Vinny, mind you, this doesn't come from a place of hate. I grew up in a Muslim country. Okay,
Yeah.
I lived 12 years in a Muslim country under Sharia law. It works wonderful. Like it's not the Western world, but it works really well. Like I could leave my car open with my keys inside and the car running.
Because you know why? If anybody takes it, they're gonna chop their hands.
No messing around.
Yeah.
So like if you're a straight white male, it's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But that's that.
Yeah.
There's an important point to be made too that the parties that are advocating for all this immigration, they're the parties of diversity, like embrace diversity,
course.
right? And they try to spin that as embrace diversity, all coming in and mingling everywhere.
Yeah.
But you know what happens when you get everyone mingling in one big pot? There's no more diversity. Because suddenly the world becomes homogenized.
Yep.
And diversity only comes from having a different culture over there and a different culture over there and a different culture over there that are all, it's just like different animal populations. If they all come together and start having babies, suddenly you're going to only have one animal population.
I put out a while back, it was a tweet that said, the difference between a melting pot and a powder keg is a matter of degrees. And everyone's like, no, it's not bad. But
good.
then people were like, nah, it's a matter of ingredients, which is also true to some extent. But we've gone from the melting pot, which is ideologically driven, people who have an American spirit regardless of skin color, race, religion, creed,
Bingo.
versus powder keg throwing things that will not, water and oil will not mix together unless shaken sufficiently hard, and then you get your emulsification powder keg.
Yeah, and just really, because I want to go really fast. Going back to the releasing the prisoners, you know what this reminds me of? Remember during COVID, we kind of brushed over it. We were releasing prisoners here in Florida. They released Joseph Williams. He had a history of violent crime because of COVID. They didn't want him to get sick. He was arrested again for committing murder when he got out. And then in Virginia, 2020, Ibrahim Bouachi was released from jail after his lawyers argued that COVID posed a threat to his health. He was waiting charges of rape, abduction, strangulation. When he was released, he allegedly murdered the woman that he accused of raping. So this is, by the way, I have to finish. Trust me, I know. This is, by the way, the dumbest Operation UK, again proving that you guys are cooked. And just the last thing, Matt has this, misogyny is going to be treated as extremism by the UK government. And I'm like, can you imagine? Like, we're in jail. Hey, ask me what I'm at. Hey, we're in jail.
Yo, bro, what you in for, bro?
Interrupted a girl talking, and I was arrested. Bloody out. I whistled for my dog, and the girl turned around, and I'm fucking, one of the bobbies got me.
That's
unbelievable, but yet so believable because, bro, what else do you expect from these people? Nothing is going right. Like when I saw this, I wasn't surprised.
No, but you know what it is? I'll go fast.
Yeah.
If this is to protect female politicians from being criticized and attacked, guaranteed.
1,000%.
All of this.
You know how happy she was in the photo. She's like, can't say nothing to me, dude. I haven't heard it, but if I ever hear one person going, I'm moving to Europe, I'm gonna say,
Is the C word, and especially in a country that uses the C word, C-U-N-T.
Yeah,
Well,
all the
everyone,
time.
everyone's in
I
jail.
just need to get this point in. This is unbelievably dumb. They're putting in jail some of the best people because there's people that are noticing that this is going into a totalitarian
Yeah,
state.
the people that'll stand up to it.
There are people that will stand up, they're putting those guys in
they're
jail
really
and taking out the criminals.
Yeah.
It's a churn of like good people in, bad people out.
Ignorant.
Stupid.
It's gonna fail horribly. All right, next story. Ian, I saw this story. A couple of billionaires, buddy, kind of brushed off. Nobody's even talking about it. I know it happened yesterday, but it's not in the headline news. Nobody's really talking about it.
Yeah.
So they died, and what you have the scoop.
Well, what happened is this guy Mike Lynch, who's a billionaire from the UK, they call him like the Bill Gates of the UK.
Okay.
He invented a technology back in like the 2008 to 10 era.
Okay.
That, and I am no tech expert, but in reading about this technology that he sold to HP, Hewlett Packard, in 2011, and there's this big fraud case about him overvaluing it ever since that they've been trying to put him away. This technology he made back then and sold back then, when you look at its description, what it does is it allows AI to monitor and analyze and then act upon video content, audio content, and live streams. Which, if you think back to the history of AI, we at a certain point started getting AI policed on the internet based upon what we say in videos and based upon what happens in our live streams. And that was an ability that AI achieved at a certain point. And so from what I'm hearing, it sounds like Mike Lynch was involved in the development of a part of that technology. So he sells his product, he makes a shitload of money, and then years later they've been prosecuting him, trying to put him in prison in the UK. He beat that. They tried to put him in prison in the US. He beat that like a week or 2, 3, 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
Right? They go out on this yacht to party, to celebrate that they just, so there's a 0.5% of cases that are being federally prosecuted in these courts, go free.
Oh, so he got a 0.5 and he won?
Had zero chance,
basically
no
jail.
chance of
Is
winning.
Is he the one who put a message out looking forward to vacationing or something, or having a break, or was that another one?
I don't know for
I think
sure.
it was a female.
I
think it was
don't
a
know.
female on the boat with them that said something.
His
like, I
wife
can't
was
wait.
there. His daughter was there.
God.
The chairman of Morgan Stanley, Global, which is like one of the biggest banks in the world, was his really good buddy. Probably financed a lot of his stuff.
the
Was
boat?
on the boat with him. So that's so those are the two power players that were there.
And what was the money? Ian, how much? Not to interrupt. How much money did they get to go celebrate?
It was
billions.
Well, he made over 11 billion off the sale, and HP claimed that he had inflated the value by more than $8 billion of fraudulent value.
Okay.
I don't know who's telling the truth
Yeah.
in the case, but then suddenly so this boat sails across the Atlantic Ocean through all kinds of weather to go and pick them up in the UK or wherever they got picked up and go party on the coast of Sicily. They're anchored off the coast of Sicily.
Oh, so they're not they're not in choppy water.
No, they're just anchored, yeah,
Oh,
just chilling.
damn.
And there are other boats anchored in the area because one of the other boats that survived the same storm was the first boat on the scene to rescue. Because during the night, a storm comes along, a freak water spout, like a tornado in the water, which is a weather phenomenon that cannot be manufactured. I don't know. It just hits this boat, sinks this yacht, and in the middle of and suddenly very quickly, this yacht sinks and a bunch of the passengers drown. I think 15 people are rescued by the boat that comes on the scene and the Coast Guard that get there, but they're basically all the crew. And I don't know how or why, but basically all the crew, the regular folks, get rescued.
But the
minus
most
the cook.
important people
But
are
all
all
the
dead.
important people die, save for his wife. So people were speculating maybe he faked his death to go into hiding, but his wife survived. So his wife is in the hospital right now recovering from injuries, and she is now grieving her dead husband and daughter that were on the boat, which is a serious tragedy. But then it raises the question of what's going on here? But then it gets weirder because you start to look into it and you realize that his co-defendant in this case was one of his co-workers that was involved in founding the first company, and then went and worked at this AI cybersecurity company that they had founded that it is basically an AI cyber defense company that claims to be able to defend against zero-day exploits, which is the end of cyber attacks as we know it, if that claim is true. That's a huge claim.
Damn.
So this AI company called Darktrace, the guy that's in charge of it, he's the co-defendant in this lawsuit way back in 2011 that's been going for forever.
Yeah.
3 days ago or whatever, He gets hit by a car while he's out on a run.
Wait, what?
He gets hit by a car and dies.
Look, things just happen. There's a lot of
Sometimes
people
things
on
just
Earth.
happen.
And especially, it's just weird, especially when there's billionaires and money and huge corporations like
Secrets.
Hewlett Packard.
Bingo.
Let me ask you: is there any dispute or any question as to whether or not there was in fact a water spout? Like there were witnesses.
I don't
who saw
believe
this?
there's a dispute. And the more I've dug into it, like as far as I can tell, yes, the boat for sure sank. Yes, there was a storm. Yes, regular people that were around and witnessed and rescued. Like there is a rescue operation. They're currently diving on the boat. Today they brought up 2 more bodies that they haven't told anyone who they
That's
are.
how fast the boat sank.
It sank within an hour. Like it sank in a way that most of the people that died probably were trapped within the wreckage and couldn't escape.
Oh,
So there's something about the mast collapsing that caused the boat to like split or fail or sink, whatever. There's a whole story with a woman with an infant, a 1-year-old that like literally was in this storm in open water, swimming, holding her infant child. Apparently, according to her, the child was separated from her momentarily, and then she got it back,
Oh my
held it above the water,
Both
and
survived.
it survived. Apparently,
Oh.
I don't know.
If I may float a conspiracy theory here,
See what you did there.
Jewish space lasers or tornado. I'm being sort of sarcastic.
No, I'm with you, dude.
Is there any form of weather control that is known, disclosed
Not
to that
known.
specificity?
All I'm saying is maybe if they had painted their boat blue, it still would be with us.
remember?
I see what he did there.
Remember Joe Biden?
people
Remember
line.
Joe Biden when he was? I think he was about to do the State of the Union, and they were talking about Hawaii, and he's like, "Yeah, notice how the buildings that had blue over them, they all made it." It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
No, that was they had complained people were promoting that conspiracy theory, and he says it out loud. Theories. Someone can say, okay, they deliberately put it where they knew there might be a storm and then detonated whatever. We don't yet have any of that information.
It's just always weird. Cause, Rob, I want to go to you. It's just always weird. Like anytime something major like this happens, like that airplane in Brazil that just flew up, like fell.
Yeah, with the doctors.
The
all-
moment I saw it doing this, I went, "Who's on that thing?" And then we found out that there was cancer doctors. It's never just a regular,
Nope.
like a regular plane, a regular this. Rob, what do you think about this whole?
It's funny that you bring that up because there was a group of Chinese businessmen. Remember MH370? The plane that
yeah.
gets-
Oh,
all the
yeah.
time. There was a plane that just went missing in the world, and nobody ever really questions where it went. I mean, we do.
Ashton Forbes does.
Ashton Forbes, dude,
Yeah, dude.
I'm telling you guys right now, and I think we were trying to have him on. The guy, Ashton Forbes, you guys haven't looked him up. Look him up on actually. There's
He's the one
amazing
with
videos.
the alien.
It's not really an alien, but guys, if you look at this video, that plane that Rob is talking about, Malaysian flight, Rob,
MH370.
MH370. Guys, he's not only debunked all the fake stories about it, he has put $100,000 bet if anybody can disprove or debunk his claim. This video, because people were seeing the plane having smoke coming out of the back that were recording it. They made it like infrared where you could see it. There's smoke coming out of the back because I think he said that there was like a
bunch of lithium ion.
on the bottom that burned, and then you see the plane, and then out of nowhere, guys, please look it up if you haven't seen it. 3 orbs start going around this airplane, and it doesn't, guys. The research he did with the fact that it hit the clouds and it can't be fake, and then as it's going, Viva, it just boom, like disappears. Live. Hold on.
Is he the one who threatened to sue everybody who said that his theory was?
No, he didn't threaten. He said, "I'll put $100,000. Try to disprove me, and I'll bet anybody." You mean nobody in the entire world?
He's
came
been debating everyone
And nobody
very
could
openly,
win.
very
But
direct.
And on MH370, where 20 employees of the U.S. technology company Freescale Semiconductor, it makes powerful microchips for different sectors, including the defense industry. 12 employees that were on the plane were from Malaysia, and 8 were from China. But look at the Titanic. Have you guys ever?
I was gonna bring that.
Have you ever gone down
Yeah.
the rabbit hole of the
Yeah.
Titanic?
Better
and the
have
passengers that were on? Yes. So there's always these weird, hey, there's a maritime or weird aviation accident, and there also happens to be these people that are either worth a lot of money or have access to
Weird.
secret technology that are on the manifest.
like
of-
billionaires, and then there's just a tornado in one spot that kills all of them, and everybody else comes. And by the way, Roberto, remember what you're gonna say. In regard to the Malaysian flight, what year did it happen?
2013.
10 years.
2013. We're technologically advanced. By the way, not a piece. I know they said that some washed up. It was all bullshit. Like I was told, like not even a seat, like on an airplane. What
The
was
pieces
they?
that washed up ended up having like barnacles on it that they said
It was
could
so
not.
obviously fake.
Yeah, they could not have formed
was
on that
foamy.
piece of equipment in that amount of time that it was in the water.
And by the way, they didn't find one chair. I'm told, I don't know about you guys, when I'm on an airplane, in case of a water landing,
floats.
use your seat. It floats. We didn't find one.
Speaking of crazy accidents, you remember the submarine that blew up?
Yeah.
So you know how they knew that they had heard it? Remember how they heard it
Pop?
crumble, right? That is a global detection system that heard it,
Yes.
right? It hears things in the ocean.
Yeah.
It was around. Ashton has gone into this. It was almost certainly around back when MH370 crashed into the ocean. Where's the data on that sound?
Huh.
Right?
Well, I believe Don Lemon, journalist extraordinaire, contemplated it flew into a black hole. Not saying it didn't happen.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Don
Float that.
Lemon's flown.
Get Don Lemon on the case.
This one doesn't.
I know. Someone was going there. I want to mess with it, bro. I'm just like, hey, Don, nobody hates you because you're black or you're gay. It's just you. Douchebag.
You
I watch,
problem.
if you guys, not to get off topic, if you watch him interviewing people on the Atlantic City boardwalk, he went and interviewed the dumbest of people, which is a common thing that we do, because we like to highlight.
It's Atlantic City.
Yes, there's
People are gambling and drinking.
But even compared to the dumbest of Trump supporters, Don Lemon was even more unlikable. I watched it, I was like, you just
No, Rob,
bothered
the guy who said he was better off 4 years ago than
Oh,
today because he
yeah.
was making more money, and then Don says, I know you feel that way,
But you're
but the
wrong."
record shows that you're wrong. He's like, okay, I'll trust the record over my life, you dumbass.
He was doing fake news in live in front of people. What a douchebag. He's like, you're not better off, right? He's like, no, I'm in bad shape right now. He's like, you don't know what you're talking
Don't
about.
believe your eyes.
Don't believe your
me.
paycheck. Yeah.
What I do love, though, about this whole thing is that it's either a massive conspiracy weather control to take down this ship, or it's literally God saying, I don't like you, I squish you now. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of the two.
And either way, it's wild.
Yeah.
You know my love of dictatorships and dictators. You know who's winning? Kim Jong-il. He knew these things happened. You know, the Titanic, the planes, whatever. You know how he used to get around North Korea? An armored train. It can't fail. You know? Yeah. He's way ahead of
He
his
still
time.
has an armored
Yeah, he
train.
has an armored train.
Well, it'll fail if Pete Buttigieg is in charge of it.
Too soon.
The
Just
black
don't
hole-
let Norfolk Southern
the
build
black,
that.
the black hole thing. The black hole thing is weird. But dude, it's just again like great story. It's just always weird. Anybody that goes, by the way, the fact that 0.5% chance of beating the federal government and you won, you think they're happy about that?
No, well, the thing is that when technology advances outside and within government control, right? Like, so sometimes the government is the one creating the cutting edge technology, but sometimes a smart dude in a garage makes something, and they have to lock that shit down. Like, that is their job. And so over the years, Promise software is a really famous and good example if anyone doesn't know about Promise. It's like the first computer program, and it's the first big hack. Jeffrey Epstein was involved. The U.S. and Israeli governments basically hacked the legal and justice systems of all of their allies and enemies using this software. And it was the exact same thing where a dude invented this revolutionary software back in like the 80s, like before there were really computers. And then the government basically did everything they could to bankrupt him because it was government contracting was paying his bills, and then to steal his product, and then they reverse engineered it and just used it themselves. And it's the same thing where like this guy invents this technology and he makes all this money off it, and then they basically like, okay, we'll send him to jail as much as we can. We'll get him to like, we'll shut him up that way. Oh, it didn't work? Oh, whoops, a tornado.
Sounds like almost. That sounds familiar. It sounds like a guy that I know. That he has crazy blonde hair. He's orange sometimes. They tried to take him. They tried to put him in jail, and then they tried to
Doesn't
shoot
work?
him in the head, and it didn't work.
Bang.
Because they're not
They
gonna.
did
And
two-
then his plane
No, no,
malfunctioned.
yeah.
And then his plane malfunctioned.
and JD
Presidential
Vance
candidates
as
plane
well.
malfunctioned.
Weird.
Well, guys,
Just to steel man it so that, you know, jokes are one thing, but a water spout, when you have these things that happen in the open ocean, 99% of the time, no one will be there. The 1% of the time, if someone's there, it's either going to be a fishing boat or who has yachts, luxury yachts. It's going to be rich people. And then when this happens and it randomly catches a rich person, it certainly lends to some interpretation.
but it is always weird on who it is. Ian, great freaking story. All right, next story. Rob G, your favorite two people, the Obamas, last night spoke at the DNC. Talk to us.
Yes, both of them. And look, I'm gonna have to call a audible as well in the middle of this. I want to come to you because I texted my buddy who is super into your content.
Oh, bring it, dude.
And I was like, hey, Ian Carroll's on the podcast. And he goes, no way. You need to talk to him about the State Bank and Trust. He did a 4-hour deep dive.
Oh,
and it's insane.
yeah, dude. Are we talking the 5-star Trust and Operation Eagle 2?
Okay, so I want to get to that real quick. I just want to play one clip of the DNC. Listen, at this point, we are currently in the biggest propaganda campaign in our lifetime, I think in the entire history of U.S. elections. Kamala Harris, we've all seen it, cannot. She has no positions. She has no policies. And now they've trotted out the Obamas who didn't even want to endorse her or give her the nomination. They actually fought behind the scenes and then didn't come out and endorse her for more than 2 days. They spoke at the DNC last night. Here's a clip of Michelle Obama, who's worth $70 million, has a mansion on Martha's Vineyard and 2 other properties, talking about her struggles and her plights and always her family being suspicious of the wealthy growing up. If we could roll that clip quickly, Natalia.
I hate her more.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. They understood that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning. So
Like her chef.
my mother.
Touche.
Nailed it.
Sorry.
Perfect timing.
I mean, she said it. You gave it to me.
So just so you know, those people who are out there are telling you, you need to continue to vote for Kamala Harris because when she is in office, she is going to turn America around. She's in office, and she's done nothing. And the best argument about that is, I got into an argument with somebody on Twitter. They were like, well, name another vice president that's ever accomplished anything in the history of the vice presidency. Okay, so if your argument is that Kamala Harris, as the vice president, never accomplished anything, and she's not to blame for the current state of America, then what is her actual background in politics? A DA of the
California, San Francisco,
which is now rampant with crime and drugs. She was a senator for California, and then she was vice president, the least liked vice presidential person ever, according to
she slept. By the way, she slept with people to get to where she did, and I care. And I know that hurts people. They're like, you're degrading. No. Facts are facts. She was banging a 60-some-year-old Willie Brown to get in. Okay? Disgusting.
If
She'd have an OnlyFans.
If she's the most qualified person for the position, which is the argument of the left right now, and you cannot also in that same breath say that, well, as a vice president, nobody ever gets anything done. No, she's not the most qualified for that position because Donald Trump was actually in that position for 4 years.
How about Mike Pence? He got Biden elected.
Yeah, he did. Of course he did.
and Dick Cheney, he did very well as vice president.
Dick Cheney did a lot as vice president.
No, just to highlight, like, people don't really appreciate it. Obama's charging $400,000 speaking fees, and she's sitting there saying how her parents were skeptical or cynical
Of the wealth?
suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yeah.
I would argue they've taken well more than they needed, and her parents would be ashamed of them looking at them now.
Good. What do you think, Ian?
100%. I mean, I think that so I grew up liberal on the left, and I didn't know. I voted for Obama. That was my first presidential vote ever when I was younger. And no one knows on the left that Obama was like, his one job was to fix the banking crisis and to punish the banks and to fix the financial system. And then WikiLeaks later revealed that Obama was given a list of his cabinet members by Citibank, like literally with a list of names that Citibank said, appoint these people. All of them got appointed to his
Holy
cabinet.
shit.
And then he proceeded to create the largest bank bailout in history with the help of BlackRock. And then he proceeded to not fix the banking system at all. In fact, it just got worse and worse and worse. And so his one job that he came in, that he ran on this platform of change, not a single thing. Not only did he not fix it, he actually worked for the people that he was supposed to be going after. That is his legacy, and that's besides the drone strikes, besides everything else he did.
What's up, Zev?
And Democrats don't know about that.
Yo,
because the
Zev
mainstream
IT, first
news
time
did not
chatter. What's
report
up? What's
on it.
happening?
Only Wall Street on Parade.
Thank you for stopping in.
What was the first year that you voted for him? 2008 or
2012.
2012? Okay, my first time that I voted in a presidential election was 2008, and it was for Obama. And then I made the same mistake in 2012.
Did you cry? Did you cry?
No, but I really did believe he's a great orator. He is a super effective communicator.
Bingo.
You watch him and you get impassioned. At this point, the Democrats' best strategy is to embrace that and not have Kamala go out anywhere. Just run Obama. Just have him out there doing every speech for her, and then bring her out on November 5th, and then everybody elects her, but they're really electing him.
And Rob, let's just be honest with each other. It's not as if I'm making this up when I grabbed it out of the thin air. He's on camera saying, you know what? If there was a way that I could just sit in the basement and have an earpiece, and then tell the person that's, if you don't think Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and some other randoms that you don't even know, probably some freaking alien, you don't even know what the hell they look like. They probably walk around the White House with lanyards. You don't know who the hell they are, but those are the people making the real decision. That guy's in charge, bro. He's the face of the. Remember when he showed up at the White House and Biden was chasing him like a little kid that their dad wasn't giving them any attention. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Dude, you know when I started learning about Obama, I saw the Obama Deception that Alex Jones put out, and it talked about how he got there, what his purpose was, what he was going to do to a T.
At the risk of saying something controversial, I just am flabbergasted by the fact that the first black president, and I put it in quotes, other than being half white, because he is, was raised by his white mother, and father, I guess, absconded. You have now the first black female presidential candidate raised in Canada. Her father was a descendant of slave owners who would pay reparations and not receive reparations. And
who also abandoned her family and didn't raise her at all.
And they're very personal things to get into, but like they're celebrating them as being the icons of what actually in their family were their failures. And it's terrible, other than the fact that she was Indian up until 2020, and now they have to redefine her. The many identities of Kamala Harris.
She's a chameleon. And what drives me crazy, just yesterday, who was it, Pritzker? He's like, she is going to be, she's like, reminds me of Obama. She's going to be the first African-American. She's not African-American. She is Indian, and she's Jamaican, period. And her great-great-grandfather owned black slaves.
And she was raised in Canada from 12 to whatever, and then she comes on Twitter and tries to pretend that her family were renters because of money issues and not because they were professors moving around towns. And when she moved to Canada, I guess you don't buy houses every time you move because of a job. Just a liar. But Obama, everyone says he's a good orator, etc. And he was, I guess, back in the day. Now when I listen to him talk, it really turns my stomach. I understand how people are nauseated by Trump because I'm nauseated by the way Obama speaks, but it's because of this. I believe mine is justified and theirs is irrational, but I can understand how people just get turned off physically by someone who they've been trained to hate. But listening to Obama talk, it turns my stomach knowing that he's a liar.
I went, because mind you, I never was into, genuinely, I didn't care. I was in LA, bro. I didn't care. I was doing stand-up. I was with girls. I was going crazy. It's when I saw him is when I started going, wait a minute. Yes, we can. He was talking like Malcolm X. He was talking like Martin Luther King. That whole, bro, the psyop is amazing. Black president first. I remember videos of black women in the street crying, going, he's going to pay my cell phone bills and my rent. It's the biggest rope-a-dope fake got you. He didn't do shit for this country. People were just like, well, he was the first black. What does that do? Policies and the state of the country, absolutely nothing positive. We're Obamacare. Really? Obamacare? Is that the go-to that he changed?
Also, based on a lie, you don't get to keep your doctor if you like them.
You
Ian,
don't.
Let me ask you this. Obama, born in America or not?
I don't know. I don't know for sure. All I know is that we all call him Barack Obama, but no one says Barry Soetoro enough.
Yep.
He was not always known as Barack Obama. He was raised by some very suspect characters. His family has close connections to the Bush family.
They're related cousins.
Yeah, the Bush family has some, that's a CIA family. That is a deep state family. He was raised for this role. He was trained for this role.
Yeah.
He got a brand new name when he activated for this role. And it sounds like a conspiracy theory. Look it up. That's not just like wild shit.
Let me
That is
ask you a
real.
question. Why of all the names, because, and again, bro, Barack Hussein Obama. Let's be real. Doesn't sound like a Christian name. I don't think he's Christian.
No, his father. It's a known fact. His father was Muslim, right? I mean
By the way, how many Husseins have you met that are like, hey, I'm going to go to church on Sunday and I'm going to get communion?
Well, no, I'm nervous that I'm going to get fact checked in real time. But what was in his book? He talked about the call to prayer of Islam being like the most beautiful sound that he heard. But who was the Muslim member of his family? Now that
dude, they were from Kenya. I mean, aren't they Muslim?
I don't know about his Muslim background at all. I've not dug much, so I've purposely tried to avoid the personal stuff about him and those attacks, because those are like, it's especially years ago, it was easy to kind of get written off. I've tried to focus on like the policy and the money and the actual things that he did. He straight up lied about, and it's not that he just didn't do anything, it's that he actively worked for the most evil men in this country that are destroying everything and created one of the most massive inflationary events of our lifetimes at the time with the 2008 bailouts.
The
Boy,
bank
promise
bailout-
change.
oh.
Just the change got worse.
Yeah, the change was
Yeah.
for the 1%
So-
with our money.
I'd hate to. I want to run through the rest of the slides, and then I want to abscond my time. Is that the right term?
Yeah.
And give it
Yeah,
over
yeah.
to Ian, because the state bank and trust scandal is very interesting from what I know about it, but it's very minimal. Last night, basically, Obama, both of them spoke at the DNC, and it was basically the biggest load of hypocrisy the entire night. They talk about not wanting wealth, but there were 70 million. If we could just show the slide, we don't need to show the video, Natalia, but if we could show the tweets, Michelle Obama, we don't get to change the rules, so we always win. They literally changed
the rules.
So they all-
Okay, let's go to the next one. Here's Barack Obama talking about.
Do you want to play it, Rob? You can play it.
No, it's fine. They're honestly, they make Viva sick.
I don't want him to throw up
hearing
on his
them,
shoes.
And I agree. I don't like hearing them. And he's a great orator, but it's all bullshit. Why are we going to listen to them sit here and propagandize us or propagandize our audience?
Yeah.
We know Kamala Harris isn't going to go in and build 3 million homes. And even if she was, what, she's going to give $25,000 tax credits to every single person? Explain how that's going to work. She can't. She just uses things. Hey, we're going to give everybody $25K. Oh, yay! How?
It
Then
pays-
don't
it
worry
pays
about
for
We're
itself, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
It pays for itself.
So it's just a big, and then my favorite part, Natalia, if we could grab to the news stories actually to the next two slides. You know, the party that sits here and tells you that voter ID is racist and telling you that, hey, it's racist to demand that we have IDs for our elections.
This is it.
Well, they're actually asking people to show IDs to show up to the convention.
Oh, weird.
And yes, this is a Fox News article, so I went to the left side just so we could show it. If you could show the next article, here is NBC Chicago. I can't think of a more liberal news station
forget it.
unless it was CNN San Francisco. That'd be the only way that news organization could get any more liberal. And here it is in their own writing that it was a select delegates, volunteers, and supporters are expected to show out. Big names are set to speak. However, guests must, somewhere in there, where is it? It's select volunteers that have to show ID. So, even though they sit here and they tell you that, hey, to vote in the elections and show ID, that's racist. You're not allowed to demand that because we want a free and fair election for everybody in the United States. They're demanding that you have ID and prove who you are when you're going to your own convention due to the highly sensitive and there was a security issue when it comes to these people. I forget the term they used, but it's due to security. So yes, when we're providing and maintaining the security for elected officials to speak at the DNC, you must show ID. But if you want to come into this country, you don't need ID. And if you want to vote in our elections, you don't need ID. Fuck that. But to this State Bank and Trust, if you could quickly explain to people how this ties in. It involves George H.W. Bush, a heroin smuggling operation, Vietnam, and I don't know if you've gone all the way down the rabbit hole to the Krasenstein brothers and their ties to this. Okay, that's a separate one, but I would love for you to just kind of...
How many minutes do I have?
Well,
Like 1 minute?
Well, no, yeah, in about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. yeah.
Okay, this isn't going to fit in 2 minutes, but I'm going to do my
It's all
best.
good.
There's an FBI report from 1989 that started this rabbit hole. I have confirmed it on numerous ways, huge amounts of sourcing, lots of documentation, and by talking to insiders. During the Vietnam War, George Bush and Richard Helms and the Rothschild banking empire set up a heroin smuggling operation out of Laos and Vietnam, selling heroin to the U.S. troops in Vietnam, making hundreds of billions of dollars and laundering that into black bank accounts. And eventually the bank accounts got so big that they realized they needed to do something with it all. And that spawned a global like black money banking network that eventually coalesced into sort of like one network of bank accounts. This is when they started to realize if we smuggle drugs, we can fund our black operations that are off the books. And they started to work together, the CIA, the Rothschild managing the banking side of it, and that tied into Contra, that tied into basically every operation since. And those bank accounts were still active, and like the documents have the account numbers. The guy is literally the dude whose name is on the accounts. They used him as like their bank front patsy,
Like their
so it wouldn't connect back to the CIA.
Yeah.
And he eventually got spooked and started releasing all the documents because he thought they were going to try to kill him. That guy's still out there. He's still alive. It's a whole rabbit hole. Search for the
We have a
5-Star Trust. Marion Horn Jr., J.R. Horn is also what he goes by. The bank accounts are called the 5-Star Trust. I did a whole 4-hour live stream with
Yes.
tons of evidence. The 5-Star Trust and Operation Eagle 2 was the original Vietnam operation. It's so expansive. I could go on about it for hours.
but
Where can people find that deep dive so they can go and watch it themselves?
On my Rumble account, Cancel This Conspiracy, there are live streams. Go into my live streams on my Rumble account. There's a 4-hour long live stream. It might have been 2.5 to 3 hours, and it's like it goes through the whole thing in detail, uncensored, uncut, and I just sourcing it and trying to figure out, like, actually fact checking it and making sure I can verify it as I go, because it's so unbelievable.
Okay, and then we have to. I want it now when I'm driving. When I'm driving to Tampa, I'm listening to this shit. Ian, just really fast, because I know we have to go to Dave's story. Do you remember when Bush? Because we keep George Bush Sr. died. At the funeral, there was a letter. Everybody, and guys, you guys can look this up. Go to X, go everywhere. Everybody's getting their. I got goosebumps right now. They're getting their plan for the who's speaking and whatever, and they open it. And they all start getting this white letter, and they all look at it. Jeb Bush looks at it. His mom shows him, and he goes, like, I don't know what. Have you heard anything of what was in these notes that everybody got? Hillary got one. Michelle and Barack got one. Jeb got one. Do you know? Did you hear anything about that?
I mean, I've seen a lot of theories, and almost all of those theories come from, like, the Q side of the world, and I don't see any other plausible explanation, because I can see it with my own eyes, what I'm seeing, and I can't think of any other plausible explanation other than some sort of adversarial threat
for
on
sure.
those
Like,
letters.
It was a naked picture of Barbara Bush, okay? Everybody knows that.
It was the photo of Michelle Obama pregnant.
Just to...
That's a joke, by the way, Internet. That's a joke.
Just to know, guys, because he's joking, because there isn't a photo of Michelle Obama anywhere on the internet.
Hey,
But
look
if
it up.
there
You said it, not
it
me.
will
Yeah.
deter me. They don't forget anything.
One last thing, I go into Wikipedia to double check the Barack Obama religion conspiracy theories. Allegations that Barack Obama secretly practices Islam, or that he is an antichrist or a Christian eschatology, I don't know what that means, or covertly holds some other esoteric religious position, have been suggested. Apparently, Wikipedia says it's a conspiracy theory,
I trust
which
them.
confirms to that.
That's how you know it's real.
So I trust them. So Dave, we're going to go to your story.
The demonic.
Talk about demons. Go ahead. Demonic national.
Let's. So the DNC has begun, people. And if you didn't, I once upon a time would hear people use the term demonic to describe other humans, and I thought, that's a little extreme. You know, there's no demons among us. Jeffrey Dahmer just has a brain that's working differently.
Yeah.
Watching the DNC, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. So, there was the rumor or a fake news. I thought it was fake news that there's an abortion mobile clinic
That ain't
on its
fake.
way.
It ain't fake.
It ain't fake. So Planned Parenthood shows up with their abortion bus, and we'll get to that in a second.
Rivers something mobile.
They're administering, and it seems to be medical abortions, as if that makes anything any
Chemical,
different.
like they're
Chemical, like they're giving pills to whatever. They're administering abortions because people need access to reproductive health care. They call it health care. They're administering vasectomies, free vasectomies, as if you go to a DNC clinic and you need to be any more emasculated.
They want less Democrats.
So, I mean, it's demonic. I mean, I say that regardless of what your position on abortion is, I mean, some people can have a middle ground position, you wouldn't celebrate it as though it's a rite of passage unless you're engaging in some form of human sacrifice for the purposes of proving
Yeah,
yourself
it's not
to
a
others.
food truck. Like have a food truck. Well, you guys are giving abortions.
You know what's crazy is that but that side of the argument is that we are obsessed with ladies' genitals and their reproductive rights. But then you show up with a mobile abortion clinic at the DNC. Who's the one that is obsessed with this?
That's you guys.
They have, I don't know if I have an image of it, but there's a graphic of an IUD. Like, they're worshiping, literally. So, anyways, this Kyle Kemper, by the way, if you can bring this up. Kyle Kemper, for those of you who don't know, is in fact Justin Trudeau's half-brother.
Whoa.
But he is the exact opposite of what you believe Justin Trudeau to be. He's an RFK Jr. super supporter, but he put this up and it's beautiful. I just want to give him credit where credit's due. I don't know if it's AI. It's a demonic national committee at a demonic national convention. They sent Joe Biden out on stage in the ultimate, what is it called when they public shaming?
Yeah.
They made him
Humiliation
speak
ritual.
until midnight, knowing damn well the dude's bedtime
He
is
was
like 8
falling
o'clock.
apart.
If we can play the I just noticed something as he was having one of his frothy,
saw this last night from-
unhinged deliveries. People compare people to Hitler. Play this.
Look at the comparison of
It's
anger.
shocking.
Go ahead.
Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe,
Look at this.
dass ich kann,
I mean, it's And again, like, okay, fine.
Angry.
Hitler gave speeches and Biden gives speeches. Hitler drank coffee, and I'm sure Biden looks like Hitler when he's drinking coffee in the morning. That delivery of like anger, fist, like
by coffee you mean meth.
well, no, whatever the hell Joe Biden's on.
Hitler was a meth head.
So I mean, it's just the most outrageous convention you've ever seen. Hypocrites, abortion, very Hitler-esque.
I saw a guy in a dress grab the mic and go, "Hi, I'm Dr. William." It's like, oh.
It is. I mean, the thing is this: I have nothing against anybody. More power to them for whatever they want to do as an adult.
As an adult
of
Good, I'm
sound
happy we
mind.
clarified that.
More power to you. None of what we're witnessing now is about tolerance. It's about submission. And so they're coming out and forcing people to say pronouns. You saw the clip with Kamala Harris saying her pronouns.
Oh,
and
that was
then
the funniest thing
Chris Cuomo
Cuomo's
says,
ever said.
I mean, she, her too. Me too.
And the whole crowd was just like,
Yeah, fucking retarded, bro.
Yeah, they had a brain
But
fart.
it is. This isn't a ritual shaming. It's an initiation. It's political hazing.
it's a division ritual too. When it happens in regular spaces and someone offers, and I live in a town where this happens frequently, someone offers their pronouns and usually it's followed by, and I would feel really great if everyone else shared theirs too. And they have just forced everyone else in the meeting, in the room, to create a political divide. You'll either submit to my desire for you to speak the way I want you to speak, or you will be self-identifying as an enemy of me. And had you never said that, had you just been like, I would like for you to call me this, who's next?
But it's also the irony is they're telling you how to refer to them when you're talking to other people about them when they're not even there. It's the ultimate oppression.
Like,
But-
by the way, that made my brain hurt. What you just.
But no, but if I tell you my pronouns, I'm telling you, I'm dictating how you refer to me when I'm not there.
There.
What more oppression could there be? Anyhow, above and beyond all of that,
He's the worst
Jamie
guy.
Raskin.
He's the worst.
Raskin, and I'm calling him Ratskin. I don't care. He's an awful human. He was the one, we had the clip a little while ago about him.
He was talking about civil war. If Trump
Civil war.
wins, we're going to try to get him out regardless.
He says if Trump wins, this is after the Russiagate hoax. It's after
the assassination
impeachment
attempt.
1, after impeachment 2, after insurrection, after trying to remove him from the ballot, after trying to lawfare him to bankruptcy.
Assassination
After the
attempt.
assassination, he says if he gets elected, we're going to disqualify him from the ballot, and we're going to have the civil war conditions. We're going to need security because the rabid Trump supporters.
All of us need bodyguards,
Yeah.
he said.
Listen to him. I will make fun of them, without remorse, when they malfunction. These liars, scoundrels can't operate without their teleprompter.
Oh.
He had an absolute brain fart where he
I
couldn't
love it.
deliver the punchline to his own sick joke.
Okay.
Check this out.
Remember what the mob chanted as they stormed the Capitol
Look at the eyes.
and injured our officers?
Look at his eyes.
Hang Mike
Watch this.
Pence.
Teleprompter's not working.
Someone should have told Donald Trump
Now.
that the president's job
Oh,
under
where's it?
Article 2 of the Constitution.
Where's the teleprompter? Look at him. Where is it?
I can't read.
Someone should have told Donald Trump
This is how I.
that
This is
the
how I feel.
president's job under Article 2 of the Constitution is to take care
You can see he's reading.
that the laws are faithfully executed, not that the vice president is executed.
Oh, whoa.
As
Yeah.
soon as he actually gets to an actual policy or what was he quoting? The Constitution? When he's actually getting to something of substance and the screen isn't there to tell him what is the next thing to say, he doesn't know. Isn't that crazy to you?
It is. It's like my grandmother always said. You have to have a good memory to be a good liar. These people are liars and they're scoundrels, but they need their teleprompters to remind them of the punchline of their zingers. And the bottom line, they, and I'm saying they as in, I believe they all had a hand in this through omission and through passive tolerance, just tried to assassinate Donald Trump. And they're making...
And they're trying to memory hole it.
Trying to
so
memory hole
hard.
that and paint Trump as the one who allegedly tried to assassinate Mike Pence with a miniature, what was that thing called where they hang people? Oh, the guillotine. The guillotine.
Oh, the
Yeah.
guillotine.
A miniature guillotine. Nobody knows how it showed up. Nobody knows where it came from. But that's their assassination attempt.
That's a good point. That they're trying to, always try to flip the script and accuse. As soon as they get caught doing something, they try to flip the script and run the news headlines of, no, you're trying to do that thing.
I mean,
And
it's
that way the news gets flooded.
Well, and then
Paint
that's
it.
how they weaponize these SEO, because then, okay, Trump assassination becomes the Mike Pence story, and not when Trump got shot in the face.
And then you tried to pin it on Iran, but because it all went wrong, you can't actually pin it on Iran. So when Bibi's very convenient speech that's already scheduled for a week later comes in, his whole script that's written that has him pinning it on Iran doesn't quite make as much sense anymore, but he still ran with it and gave that speech. You ever thought about that?
Oh, that's actually holy shit.
Yeah.
No, but well,
remember that?
The explosives part of it, like the explosives part, has been memory hold of the crooks.
He had bombs in his car.
I mean, allegedly, but
His encrypted phones and bank accounts that like no social media presence. Like what? 21?
Bull crap.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Assuming he was actually the one on the roof. Like we really don't even have confirmation.
By the way, they sprayed the roof down.
Yeah.
They cremated the body without, Congress wanted to look at the
cleaned his home. They said that they walked in, it looked like a medical experiment.
So my understanding, and Ian, if anybody's got any theories on this, my understanding about that is that he was using something about polishing material to make the bombs. I mean, I'm not sure if that's what was going on.
Well, like that's assuming that he was making. Like, why are we going to believe them when they tell us that he was making the bombs?
No, and not now that we know that this kid was training at a shooting range with Secret Service and law enforcement everywhere.
Was going to the range with the Secret Service that was called off JFK.
Well, Oswald was a CIA agent. Like Oswald was literally a CIA operative. Like they got him the job in that building.
I'm predicting this. I predicted it a while back, especially when that jerk during his congressional hearing said Crooks wasn't in our FBI holdings.
Bullshit.
There's going to have been meaningful crossover. It's going to come out sooner than later. My hypothesis, but about the accusing your adversary of doing what you're doing so as to create confusion, propaganda, whatever. It was a Joseph, to go full circle to Hitler, it was a Joseph Goebbels Nazi propaganda tactic. In addition to tell a lie so big that nobody would believe a decent person would make a lie so big so they'll believe it. Accuse your adversaries of doing what you are doing so as to create confusion, and the Democrats, my goodness, they do it amazingly. And speaking of hypocrisy, I feel like Keemstar, roll it. This is now back at the DNC offering abortions, talking about how evil Trump is, how fences don't work, border walls are racist, and defund the police, and lay down your arms because had the Second Amendment rights. Show what they got here. I mean, this is somebody who's reveling in it. Like, come around to my town and find out. Cops, fences, the people who didn't want border walls and wanted to defund the police are now setting up fences and reveling in what many would call police brutality in terms of shutting down, constitutional protests.
Oh, and you know why there's so much presence there is because the protesters and the rioters are Democrat voters mad at them because of their policies and what Biden's doing, right?
There's more protesters outside the event protesting the DNC than there are Democrats inside the event attending the DNC.
Right, there's 100,000 of them.
And they're actual voters outside, whereas it's all just like shills and insiders and club members on the inside, like people they wanted there.
Yeah, JoJo from Jersey.
The actual voters are outside holding Free Palestine flags.
Well, the ultimate irony is that, they had to set up a nice, secure perimeter at the RNC to protect Republicans from lefty lunatics, and they've got to set up a perimeter at the DNC to protect from lefty lunatics. I'm noticing a bit of a trend here.
And notice how none of the RNC had anybody. They had security, but it wasn't like that. That looked like they were fucking marching a war.
Oh no, Hogan ripping his
that was the most violent thing. Nobody was angry. Nobody was mad.
There was a solid perimeter in Milwaukee. I was down there. There were no protesters, so they had a small protest for the Palestinian stuff.
I mean, and there should be a perimeter.
Yeah, there should be a perimeter, and they should be protesting.
Not the perimeter, right? Like,
absolutely.
There should be security. There should be police.
Yeah.
Obviously. It's the fact that you would try to defund them and say they're evil and then be like, oh, but we need them.
And not just that, and revel in it. Yeah, come around and Thafo in Chicago, see what happens. We got you can show this. I'm always reluctant to retweet these things because they give a very specific statement. In fact, 25 babies have been killed so far in the abortion. I don't know how many, and I don't know how many
more. What do you mean?
It doesn't really matter how many.
That's the thing is, it doesn't matter how many. There was a free press, I think it was called the Free Press on Instagram, did a humorous review of it, where the person couldn't shoot like jokingly put her name on the list. Can't. There's too much demand. So the bottom line, it's just this is a demonic national convention celebrating hypocrisy, celebrating elitism, and celebrating human sacrifice as far as I'm concerned, because regardless of what your position is on abortion, to celebrate and say, I'm going to...
Yeah. It's a last resort, regardless of anything. Even if you believe in it, it's a last resort. And even if you're not spiritual about it, it is eugenicist. Like, the things that they're talking about are eugenicist policy. So if you're a science-minded person, it's eugenicist. And if you're a spiritual-minded person, it's demonic.
Well, this is the fight I got into a long time ago, which is regardless of how you feel about it, you're ending whether or not you even think it's a human life, you're ending a life, and there has to be a damn good reason to do it. When you do it for food, you eat. When you do it for, I don't killing animals for fun, it's immoral. So like killing something that will become a human should be at least equally as immoral. And it's the same thing that happened with Christy Noem celebrating shooting her dog. It's like, I believe in you euthanize a dog when it's time. You don't celebrate it, and you don't make it a good thing. It's a tragedy. And they are basically making this a rite of passage for political
You
people.
don't shoot your dog just so you can go have a fun night out on like the Las Vegas Strip and made a whoopsie, and it's like, oh, but I shot my dog, so I don't have to deal with the consequences of that action.
Now, you said if you have a science mind, this is eugenics. If you have a religious mind, this is demonic. But I have a marketing mind, and this is a sponsorship. That's not Kamala. She's been running cover for Planned Parenthood at levels that nobody knows.
She has no kids.
No. If you guys read into it, she was a prosecutor on the case against Planned Parenthood in California, and she got everyone silenced. You know?
Did you see the video that got leaked recently, or maybe it got re-leaked, of the Planned Parenthood staff members talking about selling the organs?
Oh yeah,
talking about the material. It's like
that's
the most disturbing.
It's horrible.
That was one of the biggest black pills that I've ever had, which changes your perspective on whether or not you're even open to the idea of like a time frame for abortion. It's like once you realize there's a black market that gets incentivized for later term fetuses. You can't look. I mean, you can't look at the world the same way.
Do you want a real dark black pill on that? I'm just going to leave it out there, and people can take the implications. We all know that stem cells are an extremely powerful medicine, right?
Yeah, big time.
Stem cells are one of the most powerful medical tools there are, and stem cells are stem cells because they encourage growth in the body. So there's nowhere that there's more stem cells than in young people's bodies, children and babies, right? And so think about it. There are certain stem cell medications that can only be manufactured from children and babies and fetus stem cells. And so think about conspiracy theories that have to do with medicine
Where are they getting
such made from children. And so that's like, yeah, sure, it's a great conspiracy theory, but we scientifically know that stem cells are extremely valuable for producing medicine. And the only way to get some of them is to harvest them from things like bone marrow, things like organ tissue.
A placenta, like a uterus, what's the umbilical cord and stuff.
Well,
my huge monetary.
And my darkest of dark pills, and I don't even think it's an exaggeration, is that there's more monetary value for later term fetuses, and there has to be an even bigger monetary value for living ones that are still alive after they're aborted.
Exactly true.
And keep them alive for as long as you can. Do whatever tests you can. Get whatever you can.
Get uncomfortable and kill them.
And it sort of puts into context that psychopath Virginia, what's his name, Norfolk?
The
one who talked about
we just keep them alive.
Late third trimester abortions, or where the baby's delivered, we keep it alive, make it comfortable, and then ask the mother what you want to do.
Let me explain something. I think, especially those women that are just out there and bragging, like, I got 4 abortions, I've got 5 abortions. You're gonna meet your maker one day, and I'm telling you right now, when you walk in, he's gonna go, "Oh, it's you? You killed 4 of my creations that I wanted to be created, and you ruined 4 masterpieces of mine, and you're gonna pay for it." That's my opinion. All right, last story, Umberto. Since we're in this whole, we kept everything non-conspiracy, not, kept it clean. Rob talked about, Obama's monkeypox. Can you please talk to us? Oh, I'm sorry. Mpox. Oh, we're abbreviating it. Why?
It got rebranded.
Oh, okay.
Because
it identifies as Mpox.
Yeah. It is fine. All right.
Look how much fun they're having. They don't even know that they're gonna die.
I've got so many jokes that I cannot make.
Make them all. That's why we brought this story. Before we go, this Theodros.
Can I say one thing before you start? With all the stuff that we talk about, all the conspiracies, Ian, all this stuff, Robbie, and I think me and you touched on this a little bit. Whatever happened to, you know what? My gut told me a while ago that Hillary was a piece of shit. Okay? That's my gut. Epstein, when you see him, your gut tells you. Bill Clinton, your gut. When I see this guy, when I see Fauci, when I see them, you know what my gut tells me? I don't trust anything this freaking guy is saying. Period. That's my gut. I go with my gut.
There is some, because doing this research for this, it was the worst. It got real gay real quick.
It got really gay?
It got very gay.
Well,
very
okay, go ahead.
And weird gay. So we're going to jump on this, so we're going to get to that tower. This is the Director General of the World Health Organization. He's the biggest communist.
I hate him.
The biggest communist.
I hate him.
Like, he was an actual African communist that put on top of this. He's not a scientist. And what you were saying, there's videos going around Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, of him and risky situations where you.
Oh, weird. I
Yeah.
mean, why?
dancing, shaking.
Obviously, they have him in some risky. Obviously,
Is that video real? There's a video where he appears to be at a gay bar, and I don't think it, I didn't think it looked real.
I actually have it downloaded, and I
Well,
got
watch
it
it
from
on the way.
gayporn.com.
So while he's looking, Umberto, what are we gonna see him? What's he
Well,
gonna say?
we're gonna see him announcing that Mpox, the rebranded version of
I'm calling it monkeypox.
and we're gonna go through a timeline where monkeypox came from and
Okay, let's
and
go.
everything. So this is the latest announcement. This was like 6 days ago.
Okay.
Where he announced that it's a world crisis.
Okay, I love when there's a flag behind them of whatever.
Oh, you gotta get
Go
it.
ahead.
WHO has been working on the Mpox outbreak in Africa and raising the alarm that this is something that should concern us all. The emergency committee met and advised me that, in its view, the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern.
Why is it always the guys with the accents that want to ruin and kill the world? They're all communists.
Now, this is the map of the latest outbreaks. I'm not actually very proud. You know, the United States is at 1,300 confirmed infections. My home country, 0.
Yeah,
The
good.
least gay.
Good.
Sorry, but
Is this predominantly a gay, like a gay man?
Yes.
Gay men are
we're
just.
gonna get into it. There's two
Okay.
variants.
Are we going to talk about AIDS and Fauci a little bit?
Yes, we have to.
You want to?
Because I know we have 15 minutes, so get in there. I want you to
That's
say-
critical.
All right, so levels, this is funny because I actually did the research on this, and there was levels of monkeypox in San Francisco's water for a while.
I'm gonna puke.
And-
I'm never drinking water.
Well, I mean, if there's any place that's gonna have it, it's San
It
Francisco.
is San Francisco.
Yeah, let's be honest
And,
with you.
No, there's the connection between this guy. What was his position?
Could you show this guy?
Oh my God, you're right.
Yo, can you
They
show
did
this guy?
put this guy in charge.
Looks like Rob. If Rob was buff.
There was a movie called Irreversible. I don't know who's seen it. If anyone's gonna have seen this, Ian, no, it's
Irreversible?
It's a movie. It's a French movie. Monica Bellucci was in it. I think it's Gaspard Noé. Anyways, there's a horrible scene in the movie, but that guy strikes me as being someone who would have starred in that movie.
That guy,
Just like straight dudes.
we're not. Well, we're
Like,
here.
but
We're in
They're
this
going to
room.
prison in the
Straight up
UK, bro.
crazy is what this is.
well, let's go
Go back
to-
for one
yeah,
second?
let's go back to Twin King.
Who is this guy?
This guy is a guy that the Biden administration put in charge.
Joking.
No, I'm not
For
even
real.
He
joking.
probably is the first one that had it.
Vinny, I had to double check, triple check, go into 6
There were-
articles, and
There were videos with him with the satanic star on him. Like,
Yeah.
dude, straight up, that was Biden administration material.
so yeah, this is monkeypox SAR. There is videos of him, and I couldn't put them on the slides because it was just too heavy. Like him
Okay.
at like parties where they get monkeypox.
Oh,
God. Dressed up in leather on
Super spreader
stage.
event?
Yeah, super spreader.
No pun
event.
intended.
And this is one of the guys that.
Let me see this guy.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Just going like star crazy. That's what I'm really worried about. I hate that I can't shave. I'm growing a beard and I hate it.
Oh my God.
But yeah, these are all the spots. I'm gonna show you a little bit more. It's all over. It's literally all over my back
All right,
too.
let's go to the next
Get a
shirtless
six
guy.
pack.
But I don't mean like not that people should be
Is that
ashamed of
deadly?
it, but why would you put a video like that out on Twitter? I mean, or the internet. Why would you do that?
Is it? Oh God. Oh my.
That's a good question.
No, it's
Yeah.
like
Why would
I'm
you?
why
do
would you
it?
do that? No, it's like it's one thing. So you got a disease or whatever it is. What do you want to call it? You got it, however you got it. You're gonna put the video on the internet forever and say like, yeah, we all know how I got this, and now I want everybody to know.
What's this one, Umberto?
This one is this guy. I think he was vaccinated, and this another guy telling his story about how he got. I mean,
He was
how he's
vaccinated
doing-
against monkeypox?
Yeah, it was a big thing.
So it's a safe and effective vaccine, is what I'm hearing?
Well, I believe
according to-
Moderna just got
according-
176 million.
According to official data, 86% effective.
I've heard that story before.
Cool.
This is
Right
wrong,
on.
but 86% of the time it works. None of the time.
So 86% of the time it'll make your symptoms worse, and
Yeah.
you'll be more likely to get it multiple times.
Yeah, let's see this
Got
one.
You gotta get it to protect Nana.
Yeah.
An update on how my healing is going. It's been about 2 weeks since my first symptoms of monkeypox.
Are his nipples pierced?
So as you can see, the bumps that I had are either
Nobody wants to see this.
scabbed over or going all the way
Just touch
away.
his armpits.
Unless he's gonna pop.
Never seen
I
that.
don't want to see this.
This part, I will say, has been kind of itchy. the healing
All right.
process.
Oh, I'm gonna
Get the
throw up.
point.
Shut it off.
Now I understand why they're doing this. And Ian, you say why?
Yeah.
This is the same
Bingo.
COVID psychological torture that they started with the videos in the early stages of COVID
Yeah, with the
to
Asian-
terrify
with
people.
the Chinese
It was a
people
lot
were
more
falling in the
effective
street.
in COVID. And has anyone ever rewound and thought about those videos and realized we know what COVID does now? But remember the Chinese videos that were coming
Yeah,
out?
dropping
people
dead
just, like dead in the street. Just
Oh,
like,
oh, the white vans pulling up, Rob, opening
Like-
the van, throwing them in, and leaving.
That's how I became aware of COVID. It was New Year's Eve of 2020 going in. Before this had begun being reported on the news, I started on Reddit, and I was on the conspiracy theory in Reddit, and they were showing videos of people falling in the streets, and that's when I started becoming a prepper then, and it worked out
Yeah.
well for when the pandemic actually hit. 4 months later, when everything went into lockdown. But you're right, the videos were people getting grabbed in body bags, hazmat suits, getting wheeled away. They were-
Blowtorching doors shut.
Yeah.
People dying live doing Zoom calls or whatever. Like
It's all, by the way, it was all fake. People were Asian. Asian guy was in the street and he fell, like he died, but he caught himself as he hit the ground wearing a mask. Go.
The other day, I know a guy who had COVID. He's like, "You guys cool being around me? I just had COVID a few days ago." We're like, yeah.
Yeah, nobody gives a damn. Nobody cares.
I
They were
had it
welding
once.
people in their
It's
home.
cold.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Yeah.
fine now. I have natural immunity.
Me
I haven't
too.
had it
I'm good to
since.
go. I've been around everybody that has it.
It's amazing. I'm going to expect now or predict that these videos are going to ramp up, and then it's going to be not just gay men. It's going to be, it's going to broaden
Oh, just worse.
appeal and broaden the terror. It's
Well, they're
going to
use the exact same words that Fauci used during the AIDS pandemic to vaguely imply that it could become a major issue in close contact, not just intimate contact, but it's possible that it could really start to spread by, and these are like the words he used during the AIDS pandemic. And we know that AIDS is not spread. Like, no, if you don't
blood
give
on
it to
blood.
a kid by having dinner with them. And they intentionally painted that picture back in the AIDS epidemic to make it seem like anyone could get it. And so therefore, like, it needs to be public anymore.
Yep. I agree.
And that actually created a lot of stigma and hatred.
It did. Big for gay people. Big time.
My fellow beautifully haired men, after we shall receive, this gets dark real quick. Wait. A little bit of context going through the video. The first time they detected monkeypox, it was 1958 in Denmark. Okay, then somehow magically disappears in the Congo in 1970. That's the first outbreak. Then the first one we heard about it as monkeypox was the year 2022. And one of the funny stories about it, like a whole trailer of monkeys that were infected with monkeypox crashed in, I think it was in Pennsylvania, but they gathered all the monkeys and they were all accounted for.
Oh God.
Except one unlucky
Outbreak.
monkey.
Now, in the 2022 outbreak, and I checked this data, it's in NIH, 99% of people that got the virus were promiscuous, gay, and bisexual men, okay? And this video came, it's an old video, it came from there, and you just hear what she admits right here. Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Rochelle Walensky, who was the former head of not the FDA, the
World Health something.
No, she was American CDC. I'll double check, but she had a big.
You got those scary eyes.
I don't think she's former.
It says right there, Director for Semi.
We do have seen now 2 cases that have occurred in children. Both of those children are traced back to individuals who come from the men who have sex with men community, the gay men community.
The men
and so
who have
when
sex
we have
with
seen
men
those cases of
community.
children, they have generally been
Just
what
say
I call
gay community. She's like, men who have sex with men who hook up with other men that bang a lot of other men.
But it's even darker than that. Were those kids molested? Like, nothing
Yeah, why?
to do with
Yeah,
nothing
how
to do
are
with
they
the gay.
catching
But
monkeypox with gay?
no, it's so bad. I'm not having that reflex because they were gay. I'm just saying the kid getting monkeypox.
No, a kid around gay guys. What the hell? How are they getting it? Is it a contact thing?
It's a contact thing,
Yeah,
like repeated.
I just brought the video, and you're probably onto something. You know, that's what people.
Well, it's not just contact because a lot of these diseases, like a lot of sexual transmitted diseases, are actually mostly transmitted through anal sex too.
That's what it is. It's blood.
A lot of blood vessels.
And that's why a lot. Cause, but we have 5 minutes. I want to get to you so you can finish it. That's why when Magic Johnson got HIV back in what year was it?
91 or 2?
Not like that. And everybody was like, wait a minute. He's not shooting heroin. Think about that. You're not shooting up heroin, Magic. How else are you getting blood-to-blood contact? And I've heard so many rumors about NBA players, some of them being really gay and doing that type of stuff. One might ask, You can, and by the way, there was a report. Having just regular intercourse, what they want is regular intercourse with a woman with no protection, the odds of you getting AIDS, it's absolutely minuscule. It has to be blood.
Yeah,
it has to be blood, and that comes from anal sex. So I'm just
said it. Daddy said it in the segment. But
this is not good.
I don't think we're gonna have enough time. Donald Trump, this is an old video as well. I need to point it out.
What did he say?
This is from 2023 that they're gonna try. Let's just play.
Let's play. I want to hear DJT. Let's go.
The left-wing lunatics are trying very hard to bring back COVID lockdowns and mandates with all of their sudden fear-mongering about the new variants that are coming. Gee whiz, you know what else is coming? An election. They want to restart the COVID hysteria so they can justify more lockdowns, more censorship, more illegal drop boxes, more mail-in ballots, and trillions of dollars in payoffs to their political allies heading into the 2024 election. Does that sound familiar? These are bad people. These are sick people with their hands. But to every COVID tyrant who wants to take away our freedom, hear these words: we will not comply.
Nice.
So don't even think about it. We will not shut down our schools. We will not accept your lockdowns. We will not abide by your mask mandates. And we will not tolerate your
I got it.
So basically, to close this with put a bow on it, Wired brought this story because probably this is going to get bigger, and we're going to be badly talking about it. So I just want to get one in.
Yeah.
But
let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys? I'll go to you first, and then I want to ask all you guys. Do you think this is a big enough thing to shut us down?
Oh, not in the least, which is why they're going to have to manufacture it. They're going to have to do something about it, and I think it's going to fail. And I think, RFK is talking about joining Trump now.
I heard that yesterday.
VP. Shanahan has talked about it in very articulate ways, and I can't think of anyone better to team up with Trump to take on an attempted fake pandemic number 2 than RFK.
Dude, okay, listen. Besides the deep state, besides Raskin and Pelosi and Schumer, that little weasel. Rob, you know what would make me I'm being dead serious? I will sleep with a smile on my face if we get one. If Trump gets Fauci to be put in prison for the rest of his little rat life, guys, I'm telling you guys, as our viewers, I will cry tears of joy on this podcast, literally for everything that he's done, all the lives that he's ruined, all the people that they've killed with this bullshit China release plan that they did, this pandemic. Dude, it's crazy that now we can actually say it. Back then, if I said that, you were finished. And we're all, and by zero accountability to this point, right? And that's what bothers me. To this day, Ian, to this day, there's still reports that are like, hey, all hands are pointing that it might be China. Are we still there? Are we still there?
There are countries that are starting to bring lawsuits against the pharma companies that are starting to actually prosecute.
We've seen it in the United Kingdom.
Well, in Canada,
as much as the United Kingdom has gone the wrong way on things as far as the fighting back against the vaccine manufacturers, they've actually been on the right side of that.
In Canada, there is Kayla Pollack, who's suing Moderna as a result of her becoming quadriplegic, and Dan Hartman, Sean Hartman's father, is suing Pfizer. You can find all their information if you want to help.
Crazy if Fauci ends up going to prison and we do get accountability, he'll also get monkeypox from the get.
I hope so. But then, you know what will happen though? People online will be talking shit about it. They'll release him and bring us into prison.
They're dancing around this thing. They don't want to tell the group. We heard her say men that have sex with men, but they don't want to point fingers at it. And Vinny and I, we're on accountability crusade. Anyone that needs to be accountable. And it's so funny. After the first outbreak, they were running, articles. Gay men save the world from monkeypox. We're not going to gay orgies. So this is it, and that's the story.
I love it. And Rob said something to me yesterday. We had a meeting after our podcast, and Rob said, Vinny, it's about we need transparency and accountability. Because without that, guys, at the end of the day, I want you to listen to me. Anything that happens that has to do when you hear $6 billion missing from the Pentagon. When you hear another,
I think it was true. Was it
true? No,
it was true.
Brilliant.
They wanted $1 billion. We're here now. Never passed an audit ever. And guess what? And we're giving money to Israel. We're giving money to Ukraine. We're giving money to Taiwan. To everybody. Guess what? I get to say whatever the fuck I want because my tax dollar, every check that I make, every everything that we buy, our money goes out to it. So I want it. That's my investment. I get to talk about my investment, and that's the problem. Because listen, don't put it past these demons. They're gonna try something, bro. Because listen, if they start to see, and I'm about to wrap up, but I'll let you close. Once they realize that she's not the truth, because the more and more Kamala Harris is opening her mouth, the numbers are starting to go, which I'm not stupid, bro. Legacy Media's running the show. That's the only reason that they're neck and neck, because these people are stupid. You guys are stupid if you're voting for Kamala Harris. It's going to start dropping. Once they realize it's over, Ian, once they realize it's a wrap, don't be surprised that one of these illegals that came over that threatened to blow up when he was like, soon you're going to know my name, a terrorist threat on camera, we still let him in, or another stupid virus that's going to happen. I hope to God that you guys, the American people, don't let this shit slide again. We have to be defiant, we have to say no, and we have to say you to all of them. That's what they all get.
It's going to be a multi-front war. I don't think monkeypox or any virus will ever do it again. I think everybody's gotten wise to that. But nobody can disagree or deny abject, egregious violence on a mass scale. And they've they've really planted the seeds for something terrible to happen that they can then say, well, now we can't go to polling stations or voting booths, whatever it is, because it's too dangerous. And let's just go to forget the mail-in ballots, because that's still going to be too tough to control.
Stop the election. Then, just
digital.
We don't need it.
We figured out a way. Put your social, go online, do it like a
get all the illegal cell phones.
Cards Season 2.
Yeah, House of Cards Season 2. All right, guys. Ian, thank you so much, brother. By the way, you have to come here more. I'm pretty sure after Pat sees this, he's like, yo, get that guy here. So you might have to make a detour and stay with us longer. But Natalia, Jake, Andres in the back, I love you guys. And everybody that's, you guys, we got over 1,000 subscribers the other day. I can't express with no words, I know I always say this, how much we appreciate and love that you guys are here. We're having these conversations. We think they need to happen more. Ian, where can everybody find you? You can, Ian, there's your camera over there.
Cancel Cloco on X, or if you search Ian Carroll, you'll find me. And I am Cancel This Clothing Company on short-form platforms and Cancel This Conspiracy on long-form platforms.
Ian, you are a freaking...
All in the description.
Yeah, but everything's going to be in the description, and the Angry Patriot shirt's going to be in there too. Ian, thank you so much, brother. God bless you. And everybody at home, guys, take care of each other. It's us against them. Love each other, and don't let them make us kill and fight each other, because it's us against them. Peace and love, guys.
All right, boys, you guys know I love firing on PrizePicks app, my favorite app. They have a brand new promo. I love it. You guys got to take advantage.
Noke boys.
And today we're going over my tier list for all of the weapons in the game. We are ranking all of the ultimate weapons and then also some of the meta, like purple weapons. And in order to make this video, I have crafted every single ultimate weapon in the game. I have not fully invested into every single one, but we have messed around with them and seen their potential and what they could do. So obviously I still have a little bit more work to do here, but I wanted to put out this tier list as a guide to what weapons you should be focusing on and investing into. This is going to be an overall tier list taking into account the weapon's DPS, but also their special ability, how impactful it is, and how many descendants actually benefit from said weapon or would want to use said weapon. We're kind of lumping everything into kind of one overall tier list. I hope you guys enjoy the full video and the breakdown. This is going to be for preseason with the Season 1 launch. I'm assuming we're going to get some buffs, and I would redo this tier list, but I wanted to kind of do a preseason where things landed and where things lined up. So when the seasons come and go, we can see how the weapon shifts up and down. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Get right into it. So to start off this list, we've got the Python. I'm going to be placing the Python in A tier. The Python is one of the stronger weapons in the game. I would be putting this in S tier if its ability was a little bit better, or if its crit chance was a little higher. You can use this thing as a crit machine on Enzo or Valby, but most characters are just using this as a weak point gun. Glade takes a ton of advantage from the Python with her Massacre. Valby, Freyna, there's a lot of descendants that like this, and it's a good weapon. I think A is a great place for this. For the Thunder Cage, we're going to be putting that in S tier. Thunder Cage has great stats. It's a good all-around weapon. You can use it for both mobbing and bossing. I cleared most of the bosses in the game just using my Thunder Cage when I was starting out. And it's also, in my opinion, the best-in-class mobbing weapon in the game. Still, after its changes, it is just, if there are a lot of enemies and you need to kill a lot of them with a gun, I take the Thunder Cage over basically anything else in the game. And so that is why it's S tier, because I still think it is the best-in-slot mobbing weapon in the entire video game. Next up, we've got the Nazastra's Devotion. We're putting that a little bit higher than the Python in A tier. Nazastra's is, in my opinion, the best hand cannon in the game. Not only is it a fantastic hand cannon, but it's also got one of the best abilities in the game in that you can reduce the defense of enemies, particularly Colossi, and defense strip them. This is fantastic against tankier bosses like Gluttony, or while you're playing in a group, just using this thing is helping you and all of your teammates. I definitely think the Nazastra's in A. I'd be okay with putting in S personally, but it's kind of hovering between that like low S, high A tier for me. Next up, we've got the Executor. Executor has a really, I just don't like its special ability. It's so cool. I'm going to be putting this probably in trash tier just because, like, I really want this thing to get buffed. I think the Executor has a ton of potential. It's got good base DPS, but shotguns right now are just not in a good place. So really, fingers crossed for some shotgun buffs in Season 1. It looks like we got the Borderlands movie poster in there. Let me put that in trash. Moving on to the Piercing Light. Piercing Light, strongest, hardest hitting sniper rifle in the game right now. It is, in my opinion, not as good as the Afterglow for general use, but if you want to take a shot with a sniper rifle and deal the highest amount of damage in the game right now, it is the Piercing Light, so we're going to be putting that in A tier. Next up, we've got the Peacemaker. Peacemaker, I think, is a comfortable B tier. It's a solid all-around pistol, and on Dimensional Descendants, you can make them deal 30% more damage at the cost of 30% mana cost, which is a pretty big downside. But if you have infinite mana, you're able to just buff up the damage of your abilities. This thing synergizes pretty well on Valby if you want to use her. Valby obviously has like cost reduction for casting with her skills, so you're able to use the Peacemaker pretty easily and get a damage boost out of it. I am kind of mixed on its like special ability. It's cool, it's flashy, but it's a little hard to control, and just like there's not ways that you can like exploit it with infinite ammo things. So Peacemaker, we're gonna be putting in B tier. Next up, we've got the Vestigial Organ. Vestigial Organ is arguably the best rocket launcher in the game. It's really good on Glay. It's not good on anyone else. It can pump out some big damage, but I don't think any higher than B tier is warranted for this thing. You really can't build into crit chance or anything. There's not that much you can really do with this weapon, but for rocket launcher Glay, it's best in slot, and it really helps with like certain Colossus fights, such as Molten Fortress, where you could just boom, 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 shoot out all of the like molten orbs out of the air and basically carry your team with it. Next up, we've got the Afterglow. Big Afterglow on the same tier as the Piercing is perfectly fine. Afterglow has better crit chance. It's got a better special ability where you can stack up your weak point and your crit chance, and it just feels very consistent. It'll one-shot basically all Void Reactor bosses. It one-shots all of the Outpost bosses, and it's really good at taking out weak points on Colossi. I love this thing, and I'm going to be putting in A tier. Next up, we've got the Tamer. Now, this is a little bit of a controversial one. I think the Tamer personally hovers between high B tier and low A tier. This is, when you're starting out the game, one of the best just raw DPS weapons you can pick up. It has some pretty big downsides for slowing your movement speed, and just like in terms of getting a good, powerful weapon when you're starting out, I don't think there's like much of a better option. However, when you come to late game investments, your high MR, Enduring Legacy just beats it out in basically every way. And so I would put this thing between like high A and low B. I think maybe high at the very, very bottom of A is a fine place for it, just because it does still hit really hard, and you can use crit on this thing with like Enzo and Valby to still melt bosses. Next up, we've got the final masterpiece. This is a very cool pistol handgun. I don't think handguns just have a great place in the meta of the game right now. They can do decent things, but their mag size is so low, the randomness of the buffs on it. It's a cool weapon. I do think it needs some buffs, so I'm going to put it in C tier. Next up, we've got the Enduring Legacy. I think the Enduring Legacy is the most consistent, highest damage, boss-killing weapon in the entire game right now. You can use it for mobbing because its penalties aren't super low on movement speed. However, its best case scenario is just melting things in front of you. This thing does absurd DPS on bosses. It doesn't have randomness like the Greg Reverse Fate does right now. And you can just melt things. It also has great synergies with Fire. Fire is one of the types of descendants that we have the most of. We've got Essimo, we've got Blair, we've got Levic. We've got so many Fire descendants, so this is a good weapon on all of them, and then also non-Fire descendants. Enzo and Valby love this thing. It's just really, really good. Next up, we've got the Restored Relic. I think this is trash tier. Rocket launchers not in a great place with their ammo economy, and if you're not using it on rocket launcher players, not really a great use case scenario for this thing. How would you put it in trash tier? Next up, Smithereens. Smithereens I prefer to the Executor because it's got a cool ability, but I also just think this thing needs to be buffed. I would be fine personally with putting both of these shotguns in C tier, but I'm going to put them in trash tier because one, they're not very good, and two, they really need some love. I would just really fingers crossed for some shotgun meta and shotgun builds. I really want to use like a shotgun sharing setup, and the Smithereens is really, like, the thing that's so puzzling about it is you've got this like ability to get 100% crit chance, and you can full build into crit damage, but its base crit damage is 10% increased crit. So like, even if you are getting all of your crits to hit, you're not getting much out of those crits. And it's very frustrating the way these weapons were designed, so hopefully we get some buffs there. Next up, we've got the Secret Garden. Now, I think the Secret Garden is hovering between S tier and high A. I think putting it in S is fine right now. It is one of the highest, if not the highest crit chance weapon in the game. It's got very respectable DPS, but it's also got one of the best special abilities in the game. If this was just off of DPS, I'd be putting it in A tier, but I do think its special ability pushes it up in the S, just because, one, it's incredible on Ajax, it's good on Kyle, you can use it on Fiesta to buff up her damage, you can use it on Freyna to buff up her damage. If Haley's going to be a tech descendant, you're going to want it on her. It's just a good weapon that also has one of the best buffs in the game, giving you both firearm damage and skill power, and a lot of it, so we're going to be putting it in S. Next up, we got the Eternal Willpower. I think the Eternal Willpower is definitely an A tier weapon. I don't think I can put any purple weapons in S tier. The Eternal Willpower is hands down the highest DPS assault rifle in the game. However, doesn't come with a special ability. It's not like broken, and so just because it's a purple weapon, I'm going to be putting it in S. If the Eternal Willpower came with its base stats and had a special ability, I think it would definitely be an S tier contender, but as it is right now, I'm definitely going to put it in A. Next up, we've got Greg's Reverse Fate. Greg's Reverse Fate, I would put in S tier just behind the Enduring Legacy. It is, in my opinion, the highest DPS potential weapon in the game. Obviously, there's some RNG involved in getting your, like, comets to come down, and if you're crit weak pointing with those comets to, like, get the most damage out of it, and if the Colossus is standing still so that all of those comets are hitting, but if everything is lining up, this melts bosses faster than just about anything. It is pretty gross, and so we're going to be putting in S, and also you can use it for mobbing, which, you know, it's not just kind of like a bossing weapon, which is really, really powerful. Next up, we've got the Wave of Light. Wave of Light, we're going to be putting in B tier. This thing is a little bit of a puzzling weapon. You get a crit chance increase whenever you reload for a few seconds. You want to build max reload speed on this thing, and its DPS is pretty solid. The issue is its crit chance is flat, and it doesn't take into account any of your other crit mods you get. So at best, you're getting like 50-something% crit chance on this thing, which, you know, is nice, but you only get it for 1 second. Things like the Secret Garden have like a 50% crit chance at base without having to do anything special. Wave of Light's decent DPS. It's just, if its special ability worked in addition to the crit chance that you're building, then you could constantly be getting like 60 to 70% crit chance on this thing, which would be very, very cool. Next up, we've got the Perforator. I'd put Perforator at the very top of B tier. I don't think it's quite as good as Nissacerus, which is why it's a tier below, but I think it's easily the second best hand cannon. Its special ability is neat. It's not overly impactful. This thing is really getting in B tier because its base stats are some of the strongest for all of the hand cannons. It just doesn't have as good of ability as the disaster. Next up, we've got the Last Dagger. I think this thing is kind of like, you know, it's basically the same reasoning as the Final Masterpiece for why it's in C tier, and Cannon's not in a great spot right now, and I personally like the Final Masterpiece over the Last Dagger. I put them in the C tier. Next up, we've got the Divine Punishment. I'm going to put the Divine Punishment in a pretty solid position in B tier. This thing, you know, it's really good on Yujin, but that's kind of it right now. This is a Yujin weapon, and on Yujin, it can give you great DPS. It's pretty cool. You can activate all three of your abilities by using like Perforating Allergy and buffing up your heals. You put an element on this thing so it counts as a debuff on enemies, and you could just juice up the damage of this thing. It's very cool, but I don't think I could rate it any higher than B, and the fact that it's basically only useful on one Descendant definitely hurts the rating a bit. I'll probably put it like slightly just below the Peacemaker. Next up, we got Albion Cavalry Gun. I'll put this in top of C. It's an LMG. It's got synergies with stun. There's a few characters that have stun synergies, such as like Sharon or Ajax. Its damage is decent, but its special ability is just, in my opinion, quite underwhelming, which is why it's in C. Speaking of underwhelming abilities, we've got the Fallen Hope. Now, the Fallen Hope has a similar special ability to the Thunder Cage. It has the ability to proc a poison explosion on poisoned enemies. However, the Thunder Cage has no requirements for the enemy being under a condition. It has a 100% proc chance with a 200% damage explosion. The Fallen Hope has a condition that it needs to be met with a 40% chance to explode that does 70-ish percent weapon damage. It is just, if the Thunder Cage was horrible and way worse to use, it's got worse stats than the Thunder Cage. It's got just a very, very mediocre setup, and it's only useful on Freyna. This thing needs an absolutely massive buff, I think, in terms of its ability to proc its explosions, its base stats, and everything more to be a competitive weapon. I'm going to be putting it in C tier. It is, like, alright, but it really, really needs to love to be competitive as a mobbing weapon, which is this weapon's identity. I don't think this would ever be a good bossing weapon, but as a mobbing weapon, it has a niche, and that niche it fills is absolutely overshadowed by why would you not just be using the Thunder Cage. The King's Guard Lance could be a really cool, like, mobbing weapon. Basically, if you haven't used this thing, you, like, aim down sights and put down this, like, pylon in an area, and then if you shoot the pylon, it reflects the beam onto all of the nearby enemies. This thing has a few bad things going for it right now. One, it's a beam weapon. Beam weapons, not in a great spot. You, like, kind of have to maintain, like, level 2 or 3 on them to even make them deal decent damage. And the AoE of the pylon doesn't expand very much, so, like, if you could get this thing to, like, have a pylon that would be massive, it could be a really solid mobbing weapon. The pylon AoE is just not very good right now, and the ramp-up time on lasers in general just does not feel good to me, so I'm going to be putting this in trash tier. Next up, we've got Sigvori's Proof. Also, in trash tier, I'd probably put it higher than the Restored Relic. Rocket launchers, once again, just not in a great spot. They need either buffs to the amount of ammo that you can have on them or their damage, but it's just not really any time that you're pulling out Sigvori's Proof. Next up, we got the Blue Beetle. I'm going to be placing the Blue Beetle slightly higher than the Wave of Light, mainly because the Blue Beetle has good stats. It's got 25 base crit, it's got like a 1.5x weak point multiplier, and it's got decent crit multiplier. I think it's like 1.8x. This thing is a solid all-around weapon that you can use. Not the greatest DPS, but solid all-around stats. And it's got a special ability that gives you crit chance. Now, this thing would be rated way higher if its crit chance buff was actually any good. Unfortunately, the 30% crit chance buff that you get is only applied to your base crit, not to your final crit, and it is multiplicative of your base crit chance. So, for example, on Bunny, on a max rank 4 to 4 Beetle, you are only getting 3% more crit chance. On Vyasa, you're getting like 7.5, so that is helpful, definitely, for her, but where this thing could shine, it doesn't really. So we're basically rating it on a kind of useful buff and decent DPS. If this thing got buffed to either bait, like I think it should just be final crit chance, then it could be kind of insane. But as it stands right now, can't rate it any higher than B. Our last weapon is the Clairvoyance. We're going to be putting this thing at the very top of C. If you're specifically playing with Viessa, you could argue that this is B, but it's quite literally only useful on one Descendant. It's a beam weapon. It's got alright DPS, and it's got an alright DPS increase for Viessa. If you're going to be using a weapon, I'd probably be holding, honestly, the Blue Beetle for the extra crit chance or the Secret Garden for the buff of her damage on her abilities. But Clairvoyance, decent weapon. My biggest thing with this thing is it's about to get power crept. You already know that the weapon that's coming out with Haley is going to lower resistance to chill abilities and then also increase chill damage, which the Clairvoyance only kind of does one of those things right now. So I don't really see a great future in this thing, and I don't want to put it higher because I don't think it's worth investing into right now, especially with this new like chill weapon coming out that could very much make this weapon irrelevant. Guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Obviously, these are my opinions. Your opinions may differ. That is more than fine. Let me know what you guys think of the tier list, and obviously, these things are subject to change with the new season coming out. I kind of just wanted to rate how they were, so that as a new season comes out, we can see where they move. And like the next tier list video, I'll be using this base tier list, and then we can like shift them up and down and see where everything lines up. But yeah, guys, that's just my opinion. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you found it educational and helpful. I will catch y'all on the next one. Take care. Peace.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out. The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day. Boss, I actually think he's the worst boss. I think he's harder than. And so
what's happening?
Hi Joe, how you doing?
Good to see you again, Ben. Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you as well, John.
I've enjoyed your videos, and I've enjoyed your videos, of course. Jimmy, I watched your whole series on Atlanta all day today. I'm watching for hours. I'm watching Impact videos about the Atlanta structure, and so let's just get into it.
Let's do it. So the Rishot structure, I was on your show a little over a year ago and shared some details about it. To people who aren't aware, there's a location in the Western Sahara Desert of Mauritania called the Rishot structure. It's also commonly referred to as the Eye of the Sahara. It is a site that most people have never seen or heard of before, which is truly peculiar because it's so spectacular. It's a site that astronauts typically use to reference from space. It is a geological feature that is said to be volcanic in nature. And what's so spectacular about this is that it just so happens to match more than a dozen striking similarities to what Plato had described as the lost ancient capital city of Atlantis.
I almost feel like we're not going to do your video justice by just talking about it, because the video is so good and you go into so many details. By the end of it, my jaw was dropped. I was like, holy shit. Like, from what you had the last time you were on the podcast to what you put out now, it's even more compelling.
Way more. I appreciate you saying that, and I guess to anyone that wants to check it out, I have a YouTube channel called Bright Insight. It's right at the top of the page, and it says Lost Ancient Roman Map has Atlantis and Sahara Africa. And that's kind of where it goes from there, is that there is
we're about done.
Actually, let me just mention real quick, like, you're a very inquisitive individual. You have many interesting people that come and chat with you. And when I had asked you last time, you said that until you had saw my video, you'd never seen or heard of the Rishot structure.
Never heard of it, yeah.
Anytime I meet somebody new, or if I'm at some party and be like, oh, what do you do? And we start chatting about YouTube, the first thing I do now is I show them a picture of the Rishot. And I've never, not once, ever come across one single person that has seen or heard of it before, other than people who are familiar with what I've shared.
But there's so many things, like where the water flows to the south, where there's clear evidence of water erosion that took place after the volcano. There's so much that points to that possibly being Atlantis.
It's spectacular. So just to run down real quick, Plato had described Atlantis as being the capital. Let me just mention that because it was an empire said to be made up of 10 kingdoms. And what I'm focusing on is the lost capital city, which was said to be made up of concentric circles, 3 of water, 2 of land, which matches the Rishot structure.
cutscene. Okay, I'm gonna skip through this. So after the cutscene, you're gonna be done, and it doesn't really give you a notification of what you just got. But if you head over to your customized section, you'll see a new notification under Descendant skins. So head over here, and then you got a new chest attachment, and that's the second reward. There you go, and you can equip that. So if you didn't catch it, you got 2 rewards. So yeah, this is a nice collectible. But the big one was the crystallization catalyst. So if you look up here, you'll see it in my inventory. I have 3 now. And when I started this quest, I only had 2. So now we can power level one of our characters quite a bit. And all of these catalysts I've received from the game basically as gifts or without having to do the extra hard grind. Take advantage of this. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. I'll catch you on the next one. Thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Cheeto Bandito. That's Cheeto Bandito.
Alright, well, that's done.
Who's there? Show yourself. Where are you while you're saying such crap? You're gonna die, not me. Prepare yourself. I picked up a signal. There's something in the next area. Get out of the way! So annoying! Where are they all coming from? This is where the trail ends. There must be clues around here. I need to find them. Fast! Shit! Again? Ugh, so sick of these bastards. Seriously? Stop getting in my way.
My wound becomes extremely painful around this time every year. Maybe it will hurt less once I kill it.
Where are you? Show yourself now! I'll smash you to pieces!
Come here. Let me end my day.
Fine! I'll make it a shocking, great end for you.
I will kill you just like I did the other 2.
I should go talk to an ace.
Yay, got a catalyst, yay! Yay! We did it! Almost got every fucking thing done. Boom, I think I have 1 achievement. It's 1 a.m.? Holy fuck. Alright, we're almost done here.
number of files and materials, and since we've been able to verify the records related to the operation that your parents were involved with, there will be special commendations for those who were killed in action.
Yeah? Grandma would like that. And this is from Sharon. She said it seems to be something your parents left behind. A memento? There was something.
Man, we're getting all the action on stream tonight.